good evening. You're watching The Money Show on ET Now. I'm Mubina Kapasi. It's the last day of the week. It's also, by the way, the last weekday of November. And as you all know, as all of our regular The Money Show viewers know, it's time for our All Women segment. Every Friday, we get you a host of very interesting panelists, from Radhika Hari Bhakti to Flavia Agnes to even an Upasana Taku, to talk about various topics, be it tackling motherhood as well as work, be it getting into the second innings of your career post a maternity leave, be it coping with COVID for your businesses and your projects. And today we're going to pick up a similar topic with a very similar interesting set of panelists. The topic for today is freelancing. This is an industry that has grown leaps and bounds since the last couple of years. It helps you be your own boss. It helps you take on the projects that you like. But while, of course, I'm talking about all things good, it has its own sets of challenges as well, just like with every career path you choose. And has these set of challenges been amplified or exacerbated because of the COVID-19 pandemic? Has it resulted in client procurement issues, cash generation issues? We'll discuss all of this and more. So let me start the show by introducing a very special set of panelists. First up, introducing Pratima Tiwari. She's an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, and of course, now she freelances also as a full-time content writer. You can find her work on her blog, Dumbbells and Drama. Next, we have with us Priya Mehta. She is the sole proprietor of Design Pink, a Mumbai-based firm which specializes in print and design communication, and now, of course, caters to the who's who of India Inc. And finally, Shraddha Pawar, an independent digital creator and entrepreneur who is a travel and lifestyle content creator. She's also into photography, and guess what? She also has her own stationery business. So, ladies, thank you so much for joining me today on ET Now. It's a real pleasure having all of you with me. So, to start with, Pratima, let me, kickstart the entire conversation with you. You know, being a freelance writer can really be a dream job sometimes, right? Because you can write from anywhere. Inspiration can strike anytime. Of course, the downside is that sometimes you have writer's block as well. But how did it come about, Pratima? I know this was not your, your very first hand when you started off your career at the age of 18, 19, 20. But how did you come about to be a freelance writer? What guided you to that path? And also, do you think it required a tremendous amount of discipline from you to ensure that, you know, your gig as a freelance writer, full-time freelance writer, also helps you pay the bills?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of discipline involved, but I had just quit my job of 2 years in 2013. And honestly, at that point, freelancing was still looked at as a career option that you can probably consider towards retirement. Because, you know, you'll have a solid body of work to show, you'll have a good network. And for someone who's 2 years old in the industry, who knows nothing, who knows no one, still trying to figure out digital marketing, I think for me, that was just a break to figure out the next step. And that's when I started my food blog. So Dumbbells and Drama was earlier a food blog and was called something else. But I was pleasantly surprised to find that I had a lot of clients contacting me through the blog. And I don't know what worked. Of course, in hindsight, I understand that it was the way of writing, the way of expressing, you know, why I liked certain things. But my blog actually helped me figure out my freelance career. What happened was, I think for the first 2 years, I was taking this as something I was taking it really lightly, like extra pocket money, because I think because we weren't taking freelancing as a career very seriously back then. It took me 2 years of doing a lot of projects to realize that, okay, this is it. This is how it's going to be. And that's when I became a little serious about money management also. You know, it wasn't just pocket money. This was going to be my way of life. And yes, of course, I mean, thankfully, I've been self-disciplined, but I feel so much has to do with discipline here because, yes, you can take a break at any point. You have your own schedules. You can set your own deadlines. But I feel even for something like that, time management is so important. And I've been consulting with a lot of freelancers and coaching them. And I realized that because of the lack of self-discipline and time management, a lot of them fail. So I feel, yes, it's a very important quality to have.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, that's the reason why that was my first question to you actually on discipline. Because sometimes we also ourselves, especially when we have another full-time job, don't tend to take, you know, our freelance gig very seriously, unless, of course, that turns to be your full-time job then. Now, Priya, coming to you, you know, now it's a world of freelancers. It's no longer something that you find in rarity. Do you think that all the more it's difficult to help your portfolio sort of stand out? How do you attempt to do that, especially with all of the increasing competition in almost every aspect now?
A good question in a way, because I've always believed that client referrals and networking amongst different networking groups, as well as you know, word of mouth, have kind of worked well for me. And over the years, of course, that's something that you need to keep doing in order for brand visibility as well as for your own self-visibility. So that has been something that I have definitely done and adhered to. And keeping that in mind right now with the current situation, social media is something that can help you be out there a lot more, be it e-commerce platforms or be it Instagram, which is the biggest one right now. They are really good channels for basically showing yourself and what you have and your capacities. So while there is a plethora of good talent around the place, you still have to just find your niche and figure out that if you're good at that, go ahead with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and actually that sort of is also a key for obviously client acquisition as well, which could be sort of, you know, a little tricky. Shraddha, again, you know, if whether we look at photography, whether we look at writing, whether we look at even stationery for that matter, almost every business out there has competition. There are more and more businesses, more and more gigs, freelancers emerging. So, you know, I'll ask you the same question. How do you ensure you sort of stand apart? Do you think it's important that, you know, you have a niche? So even if it's, let's say, photography, we know there are thousands of other photographers out there doing great work on, you know, and displaying it on their websites, on social media. How can you really differentiate yourself then?
I think for me, it was very organic. Like, I have actually studied to be an architect, and my profession ideally was supposed to be something completely different. It worked out really organically for me. But so one thing that I have noticed is that in any creative field or any kind of, you know, freelancing art form, I think networking is really important, and meeting the right people and collaborating with the right people for right content is very important. Like, I think there should be a fine line between the work that you do for yourself to create your portfolio, and every small detail of that is very important. Like, for example, who are you doing this photo shoot with? Is it going to benefit you in terms of your creative work? Is it going to benefit you in terms of networking? So I think all of those things have played very strategically in the initial days when I just started out doing photography, because I was not quite sure if I wanted to pursue it full time 6-7 years ago. So I made sure that, you know, it's worth my time. And I think any creator has to know their expertise, and of course you find it along the way. Especially in photography, there are so many genres, like there is so much to do. I think it's very important to know what are you good at and what is your specialty. It took me quite some time to come down to you know, finalize that this is what I will pursue and this is what I won't do. So I think initially just collaborating with a lot of people helps you. That kind of builds your base and as a network, and then kind of work starts flowing in when you keep consistently posting. I think social media has been a great gift to our generation, and it's like a daily routine for us. Like, we do share a lot of our lives on social media, so we are kind of always present in somebody else's you know, feed. So it's always easy to reach more people just showcasing your work every day. So yeah, I think that's what really sets you apart if you're consistently active, showcasing your work, whether you have commercial work or not. If you consistently keep pushing your work out, I think you keep getting clienteles and all that back. So yeah.
Okay, well, we'll take forward this conversation, but for now, a very, very short break. Ladies, stay on with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching The Money Show. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to throw open the floor now to the panelists to ask questions to the other panelists because, of course, they know their business best. So, Pratima, let me go across to you. I know you had a couple of questions for Priya as well as Shraddha. So, take your pick and, ask one of them your questions, Pratima.
Actually, I'd like to know, I mean, with photography, right, Shraddha? I mean, because of the pandemic, a lot of things have shut down and businesses were moving slow. What industry did you find to be, which industry was demanding your services more?
I think e-commerce was one of the biggest industries that needed a lot of, I honestly did more work in lockdown than I usually do, because a lot of retail businesses like traditional retail businesses in trading, a lot of those businesses went online because there was no footfall in the stores. Physical stores were shut for a long time. So during that time, a lot of, luckily I had a lot of friends who had their own retail stores who wanted to go online for a long time, but they couldn't. So this time was utilized for that. So I almost shot around 2,000 to 3,000 products for e-commerce photography, white background photography. So there was home decor in that. There are multiple stores in and around my residential area itself that was utilized in that. So that consumed a lot of my time. So I think e-commerce really, took a different shape in during lockdown. A lot of small businesses also went online, and they did need photography, videography, both. And I understood the demand for that during that time. So yeah, I think e-commerce is one of the industries that really did well for photographers.
And what about the money bit there? Because I know that was a serious concern. That's something that I personally faced. The work was coming in, but the budgets were reduced. So we had to work a lot more to get something that we were earning before the lockdown. But did both of you face the same problem?
Yes, that did happen. The payment cycles were obviously they were pushed forward more than 30 days. Usually, ideally, it's 15 to 20 days for freelancers, but these were stretched till 60 days also. But since I was very stern with my boundaries and my professional whatever terms I have when it comes to work, I did not deliver the entire deliverables before the whole payment came in. So if I could do it, I think that is one way to really get around, because there's always a give and take of product and money. So you can always hold it back. As a freelancer, I think you have to protect yourself from these kinds of things. So even though payments were delayed and we had to do more work for a lesser cost, but the scale was big, the number of photos was big. So it always made sense to me to get into the project. So yeah, but there was a kind of the money was coming in.
Yeah.
That also depends, Pratima, because it depends on what kind of projects you have. You can have two kinds. You can either be on retainer or you can have a project basis. So now if it is a project basis, what happened was you've already taken an advance. So you anyway continue with the project irrespective of the lockdown. But if you're on a retainer, then you just marginally give or take, because you understand the sentiments of your clients as well. So then you just kind of negotiate the price with them so that work keeps going on, but it just goes on at a little bit of a slower pace, which is fine, because the basic thing that you want is good work to come out at the end of the day.
Yes, that's true. I think I faced the same issue. I changed my payment cycles from 30 days to 45 days. And this was for most of the retainer clients. Projects were not too many, but whenever I did get projects, then I think because of the whole networking and goodwill, I stopped working with an advance, but this was only during the pandemic. I think we're slowly easing back into the pre-pandemic routine again. So I'm happy about that. Contracts have come back into place. So I'm happy with the way things are going now. Yeah.
I know it's a good thing that it's opened up a lot more. But keeping that in mind, actually, Shraddha, I wanted to ask you a question, because you said that you've done a lot of retail stuff right now. What's happened to the home photographer? Because right now everybody's got smartphones and everybody has either become a baker or something which is related to a home-based product. So does that affect you in any way? Does that form of digital work affect you?
Yes, definitely that affects my business. But I think as many as, as much as it's easy for people to click a picture with their phone, I think it also comes in term with time, because you have to really give a lot of time to click pictures and then, kind of clean the background and all of those things.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think, I'm so sorry for this. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of demand, even though there is. Excuse me, can I just put this off? Just give me a second.
That, let me actually get in another question, and that was with respect to the entire cash bit. It can sometimes really lock up some very crucial working capital. Pratima, let me ask you, do you think that can really be a hindrance to work? Or if you are, let's say, in the midst of, a bit of a crisis or an economic crisis like we are in the midst of now, and cash really stops, how stringent do you get with clients then?
Again, I think because we've established that relationship with clients, it was a little difficult. It was tough at first. I mean, there were a lot of hard decisions to be made. And I think I'm blessed with a wonderful team. So I think everyone understood that they had to probably shift from a 30-day cycle to 45, that 45 became 60, some of them are 90. But I think we've got that trust. And thankfully, I have been very careful about managing my money. So I think because of the emergency funds and all of that, I was prepared for this. I am prepared for quite some time now. But yes, I mean, it was emotionally really draining, because sometimes, I mean, money is a strong motivator. You want to work. And when you get that paycheck and when that, the money hits your account, it motivates you to do more. But I think it was an emotional, this was a very emotional time for me, not money wise, but because of, the decisions that we had to make. In fact, we had to say no to a lot of clients because of this. I know that a lot of people also started working for free during this time. That has also affected, I feel somewhere that has affected the industry, because then the rates go down, because there's always somebody who can do it for free or for, nobody will count your 10 years of experience. They'll say, oh, I can get this done for cheaper, because there are so many other resources, So I think, we're still trying to figure that out. And I'm, in fact, gearing up to meet a lot of resources who have started freelancing right now. But I feel like, thankfully, I was smart about managing my money. So, yeah, I mean, it's money management that saved me till now.
Right. Okay. Well, on that note, ladies, we're completely out of time. So I wish you all the very best for all of your future endeavors, gigs. Keep leading the way for a lot of young people out there, to follow your path, of course, because I know how great it is to be your own boss. And yes, I hope all of you all have as well found this conversation very fruitful. You can always catch this entire interview on ET Now's YouTube channel under the Money Show playlist. With that, we'll wrap it up. Thanks for watching.